Chosen one. Something is shifting around you, quietly, invisibly, yet it's unstoppable. You think you're just walking through another ordinary day, but heaven has already rewritten the script while you were asleep. You have no idea it's happening, but God has already set things in motion that will pull you into alignment with His divine design. Lately, you felt that strange restlessness deep inside. The people around you can't see it. You can't even name it. It's the feeling that where you are no longer fits who you're becoming. That's not confusion. That's the whisper of transition. Heaven is rearranging your surroundings, and your soul can feel the tremor before your eyes. See the evidence. You think you've been standing still, but you've actually been moving through an invisible current, like a leaf carried on a river's hidden undertow. You're being directed toward a place you didn't plan to reach. God is working in ways that human logic cannot trace. There's a story about a man who prayed for a new season. Every door he tried to open slammed shut. He blamed himself, doubted his worth, and thought he'd failed. But what he didn't see was that God had quietly rerouted his path, moving him away from what would have destroyed him later. Months passed before he understood the delay was protection, not punishment. You, too, are in that kind of divine rearrangement. Heaven is repositioning people, shifting timings, closing certain windows so that the right ones can open at the exact appointed moment. You don't see the hands moving the chess pieces, but every motion is precise. It's like standing on the shore while the tide retreats. You think something's being taken away, but soon the waves will return, carrying treasures that were hidden beneath the surface. That's what's happening in your life now, the retreat before the reveal. If you could see the unseen realm, you'd witness angels moving at God's command, carrying instructions with your name on them. You'd see prayers you thought were forgotten being pulled from heavenly archives to be fulfilled at the right hour. Every "not yet" you've heard was actually heaven saying, "Hold on, the foundation is still being laid." Chosen one. This is why some relationships have suddenly drifted away. Why doors that once opened easily now stay locked. It's not random. It's not rejection. It's redirection. Heaven has heard the quiet groans of your heart and has begun the holy reordering of your path. You may not have noticed it, but your spirit has already started to expand. The version of you that fit last year's space cannot fit into the next season's calling. So the shaking you feel is not destruction, it's renovation. Imagine a seed buried in the dark. It cannot see the sun, yet the pressure above it is forcing it to break open. The soil that hides it is also what nourishes it. That's what's happening to you now. You've been planted, not buried. There's a sacred power in unseen movement. When heaven begins to rearrange your life, it first silences the noise around you. That's why certain people have grown quiet. Why familiar places feel foreign. You are being separated so you can hear the next instruction clearly. Do not fear what feels unfamiliar. Do not chase what God has already moved out of reach. What is leaving your life is making space for what's about to arrive. It is written in the book of Job, chapter 33, verse 14. For God does speak, now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. Yet His voice endures. Take that in. God is speaking through every delay, every silence, every closed door. Even when you think nothing is happening, something sacred is unfolding behind the curtain of time. This moment, yes, right now, is a divine intersection. You didn't stumble upon these words by coincidence. This is one of those, now one way, now another, moments where heaven interrupts the routine. If this message resonates deep within you, type 111 inches the comments as a silent agreement with what heaven is activating in your life. Share this word so it reaches another hidden chosen one who needs to know that the shift has already begun. Subscribe if you feel called to stay connected to what God is revealing next. Your unseen season is not wasted time. It is the birthplace of destiny. The movement has already started. You are standing inside a miracle in motion. Chosen one. Remember this truth. The unseen hand that holds your future never trembles, even when your surroundings seem silent. Heaven is humming with purpose. Every second that passes is part of divine choreography, step by step. Unseen, but unstoppable. You don't realize it, but the silent rearrangement has already begun. God is shifting the furniture of your destiny, moving what no longer belongs, preparing space for what must come. You wonder why certain plans have unraveled, why familiar paths now feel blocked. But every disruption is part of a holy design. Heaven is reordering your environment to match the weight of your calling. It happens quietly, without announcement. One day, you wake up and the people you once depended on no longer understand you. The job that once felt secure suddenly feels suffocating. The rhythm of your days starts to break apart, and you ask, "What's wrong with me?" Nothing is wrong. It's just that God's timeline has advanced, and your surroundings must catch up. You may not see it, but behind the scenes, conversations are shifting. Hearts are being stirred. Opportunities are being rewritten. The same way the earth's plates move beneath the crust, unseen yet world-altering God is creating new ground beneath your feet. When the shaking stops, you'll find yourself standing in a place you never expected, perfectly positioned for what's next. There's a story told among the faithful about a man named Elior. He had spent years working in a city where he felt invisible. Every effort, every prayer seemed to echo into emptiness. Then, one morning, the company that had once depended on him shut down without warning. Panic spread. But Elior felt a strange calm. Something within whispered, "Do not fight this ending." Weeks later, he was offered a new role in another city, one that not only restored him but connected him to people who would unlock his life's mission. What looked like collapse was heaven's rearrangement. That's what's happening around you now. Heaven is dismantling the structures that kept you comfortable but small. It's moving you from a space of survival to a space of significance. The shift feels harsh because it's pulling up roots you didn't know were planted in the wrong soil. You can't grow kingdom fruit in contaminated ground. Think of a potter's wheel. The clay spins, pressed and reshaped by unseen hands. At moments, the clay feels the pressure, the breaking, the reforming. It doesn't know the shape it's becoming, but the potter does. That's your life right now, being formed for a vessel that can carry greater glory. There is also the metaphor of the stars. To the naked eye, constellations appear still, fixed in their places, but in reality, they are constantly moving, aligning, drifting according to unseen gravitational forces. What looks unchanging from your perspective is, in truth, dynamic. So it is with your destiny. Nothing has stood still. The divine orbit is adjusting around you. You've been asking for signs, but signs rarely arrive in lightning flashes. Often, they come as quiet disconnections, closed doors, or a sudden loss of interest in what once excited you. That disinterest is spiritual guidance disguised as boredom. Heaven removes your appetite for what is beneath your calling. Chosen one, do not grieve what's leaving. You were never meant to stay in the same spiritual address. When God upgrades your anointing, He also upgrades your surroundings. The silence, the distance, the confusion, it's all part of your repositioning. You are in a holy migration. The cloud of glory that once rested over one phase of your life has lifted and is moving forward. The Israelites learned to follow that cloud, even when it led them into deserts. They trusted the movement because it meant God was leading. You, too, must follow the invisible cloud, even when logic argues against it. The Word of God reminds us in Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Every step you take, even the ones that seem accidental, is being measured by divine hands. The missteps, the detours, the long pauses, nothing is wasted. The author of time is editing your story for eternal impact. There will come a moment when all the confusion will suddenly make sense. The pattern will emerge, and you'll realize that every disappointment was a relocation in disguise. Until then, walk quietly. Listen carefully. Stay pliable in the potter's hands. The rearrangement is not punishment, it's positioning. You're being placed where your influence, gifts, and light can serve their highest purpose. Trust the unseen motion, because what feels like loss now is the architecture of your next miracle. So, breathe. Chosen one, don't rush the process. The pieces are still falling into place. You may not see it yet, but heaven never moves backward. Every quiet change is carrying you closer to the unveiling of your purpose, slowly, silently, but surely. You've started to notice the isolation, haven't you? The calls that stopped coming, the friends who no longer understand your language, the silence that fills the spaces where laughter used to live. It feels like abandonment, but in truth, it's divine separation. God is pulling you aside, not to punish, but to prepare. Chosen one. Isolation is the classroom of revelation. Every great move of God in history began in obscurity. Moses found his purpose in the desert. David learned his strength in the wilderness. Even Christ retreated to lonely places to pray. You, too, are being drawn into solitude, not because you're forgotten, but because heaven wants your undivided attention. It's strange, isn't it? One day you're surrounded, the next day you're stripped of noise. The people who once validated you have drifted away. The applause has faded. You try to explain the ache, but words fall short. That ache is the sound of your spirit stretching. The silence is God tuning your ears to a higher frequency. There's a young man whose story mirrors yours. His name was Soren. For years he chased belonging, attaching his worth to the opinions of others. Then, suddenly, everything he built crumbled. Relationships, opportunities, plans. At first, he thought he was cursed, but in the emptiness, he found a new voice rising from within, the whisper of God. What once felt like isolation became an encounter. That same pattern is repeating in your life now. You are in the wilderness of refinement, a place where distractions are stripped away so truth can emerge. It's in this sacred silence that God detoxes your spirit from dependency on human approval. You're learning that peace doesn't come from attention, it comes from alignment. Think of an eagle before it learns to soar. The mother eagle dismantles the nest, piece by piece, forcing the eaglet to the edge. What feels like betrayal is actually training. The fall is the teacher that activates the wings. That's why you've been pushed. Heaven knows your wings will never open in comfort. The isolation is not absence, it's incubation. Seeds grow in dark soil, away from the eyes of the world. And when the surface finally breaks, everyone calls it a miracle. But the miracle began long before the sprout appeared. That's you now, buried brilliance, hidden on purpose. When the noise around you stops, listen closely. You'll hear the faint rhythm of destiny, steady, patient, pulsing underneath your stillness. God is writing between your breaths, rebuilding your identity without interruption. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 17, verse 7. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in Him. No, that blessing isn't given to the crowded or the celebrated. It's given to the trusting, the ones who stay faithful even when unseen. You are learning the art of quiet confidence, the strength that doesn't need an audience. So instead of asking, "Why am I alone?" begin asking, "What am I meant to hear in this silence?" Every answer you seek hides inside that question. This season will teach you the value of divine quiet. The stillness that frightens you now will one day be your strength. You will learn to breathe peace in empty rooms, to carry light even when no one claps for you. You will discover that the absence of people often makes room for the presence of God, chosen one. The wilderness is temporary. You will not stay here forever. But while you are here, gather the lessons, build the muscles, and let heaven carve your spirit into something unshakable. Now, as a small act of faith, type, "I'm listening." Do it not for me, but as a sign to heaven that you understand what this silence means. It's your way of saying, "I accept the isolation if it means transformation." Because sooner than you think, the silence will break. And when it does, you'll rise from it, carrying revelation, not resentment. The silence you're in now isn't a pause in purpose. It's the sound of heaven, clearing space for new instructions. Every time you choose stillness over panic, you strengthen your discernment. You're learning to recognize God's voice, not in thunder, but in whispers. That skill will anchor you when the world starts calling your name again. In solitude, your spirit begins to sharpen. You start to notice the subtleties of divine timing, the way certain doors stay shut until your heart is mature enough to walk through them. This is how God preserves your destiny from premature exposure. Hiddenness is protection, not punishment. When the season shifts, and it will, you'll realize that isolation wasn't the loss of connection, it was the formation of capacity. You were never alone. You were being refined. There are moments when you wonder if anyone notices what you've endured: the long nights, the tears that no one saw, the prayers whispered into empty rooms. You think they vanished into the air, unheard and unanswered. But heaven has surveillance that never sleeps. Every sigh, every word, Every act of quiet obedience has been recorded in divine archives. Nothing about your journey has gone unnoticed. Chosen one. Heaven does not overlook faithfulness. God's awareness of you is not distant or general. It is intimate, detailed, deliberate. He has numbered the hairs on your head. He watches not from afar, but from within the rhythm of your days. When you wake up weary and still choose to hope, that decision registers in eternity. Think of the way a painter studies light before touching the canvas. The painter doesn't rush. He observes the smallest shifts in color, the faintest contrast of shade. That's how heaven studies your life attentively, patiently, with care. You are not random to God. You are art in progress. There was once a man named Daniel, not the prophet of ancient texts, but a quiet worker in a forgotten village. Every morning, before dawn, he would pray the same simple words, "Lord, remember me." He never saw miracles, never heard an audible voice, but he kept praying. Years passed. Then one day, a stranger arrived with an opportunity that changed his family's destiny forever. When he looked back, Daniel realized that every hidden prayer had been a stone in the foundation of his future. Heaven had been listening the entire time. That is your story. 2. The unseen records of your perseverance are being kept in heaven's account books. You think your efforts have gone unacknowledged, but they are accumulating interest in the currency of glory. Every act of faith is a deposit. At the appointed time, the balance will release as favor. In the book of Revelation, it speaks of golden bowls filled with the prayers of the saints' incense rising before God. Imagine that, your words becoming fragrance in the courts of heaven. When you whispered those midnight pleas, they didn't disappear. They ascended. Sometimes, heaven's answers are delayed, not because they're denied, but because timing must align with purpose. If God answered every prayer instantly, your growth would stall. The waiting seasons stretch your faith, making room for a greater measure of glory, like wine that must ferment in darkness before it's poured. Your blessings are maturing in unseen storage. The Word of God declares in Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." No, what a truth that is. Every tear documented, every ache acknowledged. You are known in a way the world cannot comprehend. People may overlook your pain, but heaven has a record of it, line by line, heartbeat by heartbeat. So when you feel unseen, remind yourself that your life is being watched by the one who never blinks. Even the smallest act of kindness, the briefest prayer, the faintest "help me" has weight in the spiritual realm. Nothing disappears. Everything counts. The unseen surveillance of heaven is not about judgment, it's about care. God is not waiting for you to fail. He's collecting evidence of your endurance. Every test you've passed in silence is being noted. Every temptation resisted. Every moment you chose grace over revenge adds another mark in your favor. You are not forgotten in a corner of creation. You are being observed with affection. The Creator studies your story like an author rereading his favorite chapter, anticipating the triumph. He already wrote, and when the appointed time arrives, he will bring out the records and reward what was done in secret. For the Father, who sees in secret, will reward you openly. The public elevation will only make sense to those who understand that it was built on years of private faithfulness. chosen one. Heaven's attention is your assurance. You don't need to prove your worth to people who can't see your process. Let the invisible witnesses of your endurance be enough. Keep walking. Even when no one claps. Keep praying. Even when words fail. The eyes of heaven are upon you, and that gaze never turns away. The silence of heaven is never emptiness, it's observation. When you feel unseen, remember, you are being studied by divine love, not forgotten by it. Attention from above is your hidden validation, and when the right moment arrives, the unseen will shout its evidence. Every unnoticed act, every quiet surrender will echo across eternity as proof heaven was watching all along. You carry something on your life that the world cannot define, a hidden mark, an invisible seal that distinguishes you from the rest. Long before you spoke your first word, heaven had already whispered your purpose. That's why the battles against you have felt unfair, why the pressure has been relentless. The enemy saw your mark before you did. From childhood, there were moments when you stood out without trying. Your presence alone changed the atmosphere. You never understood why some people disliked you for no reason, why doors closed without explanation. But it wasn't rejection, it was recognition. Darkness can sense light before it fully shines. The enemy attacks what he fears. You've been marked for purpose. The oil of calling rests on you, though you may not yet see it. Like a letter sealed with wax, your soul carries heaven's imprint. That's why your life cannot unfold like everyone else's. You are not just existing, you are carrying divine cargo. There's a story of a young man named Micah. He grew up ordinary, working unnoticed in the corner of a workshop. But one night, while walking home, he heard within him a soft voice. You've been marked for something greater. He didn't see any proof, no angel, no light, but deep inside, something shifted. Years later, everything in his life changed. One opportunity after another, unfolding as if an unseen hand had written the path. What he didn't know was that the mark was working all along. You, too, are living under that same mystery. Heaven doesn't always announce its chosen ones. It conceals them until the right time. The seal on your life is invisible to the naked eye, but unmistakable in the spiritual realm. Every attack, every delay, every misunderstanding, it all confirms that the mark is real. When an artist signs their name on a painting, that signature makes the artwork priceless. The painting doesn't choose it, the creator does. You carry the same signature, the mark of divine ownership. That's why your value doesn't decrease when others fail to recognize it. You belong to the master artist. There's a reason oil was poured on kings and prophets in ancient days. The anointing wasn't just ceremony, it was identification. The fragrance of that oil made them stand out. Even when they walked through the crowd, others could smell purpose. You have that spiritual fragrance. Those meant to find you will recognize it. Those not assigned to you will walk away. Both are divine acts of separation. The apostle reminds us in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 21 and 22. Now, it is God who makes both us and you stand firm in Christ. He anointed us, set his seal of ownership on us, and put his Spirit in our hearts as a deposit, guaranteeing what is to come. This is your identity, sealed, owned, and guaranteed by God himself. The weight you feel isn't a burden, it's the presence of promise. And because this message finds you in such a moment, let it remind you that the light within you matters. When you like this message, imagine it as striking a single match in the dark, tiny, yet capable of starting a sunrise in someone else's heart. When you share, think of it as sending a ripple across still water, one gentle motion that reaches unseen shores. Someone you may never meet might feel hope again because you passed it forward. If you subscribe, picture it as joining a circle of lamps around a mountain, each light connected, each one keeping the flame alive so that no traveler walks in darkness again. And finally, if you ever feel moved to donate, do it the way a gardener plants seeds, not because the soil demands it, but because the gardener believes in the next bloom. There's no pressure here, only an open field where generosity becomes sunlight. Your gift becomes part of a chain of mercy, fueling the creation of more words that heal and awaken for those who cannot give. Know this, your listening heart is already a contribution. The kingdom counts faith as currency. Every heart that receives, every whisper of yes inside you, every silent prayer, it all becomes proof that heaven still moves through willing vessels. So carry the mark proudly. Protect the oil upon you and walk forward knowing this truth. The signature of God on your life cannot fade, it only grows brighter with time. The light you carry isn't fragile, it's fire refined by storms. Let it shine, even softly, because even small flames keep the night from winning. And remember, generosity, whether in words, time, or giving, isn't loss. It's transformation. Every act of love you release becomes a seed for miracles unseen. Sometimes, doors close without reason. Plans collapse that once seemed certain. You knock, and silence answers. You question yourself, did I mishear God? Did I lose my favor? But the truth is simpler and far more divine. Heaven is rerouting your path. Every closed door is an act of mercy in disguise. When a door shuts suddenly, it's not always because something's wrong. It's often because something's right, but not yet ready. You are being redirected, not rejected. Imagine a ship guided by unseen currents. The sailor thinks the wind is fighting him, but in reality, it's keeping him from sailing into a storm. That's how divine guidance works. What feels like resistance is protection. What feels like loss is often divine steering. You've experienced this, haven't you? A job that fell through at the last minute, a friendship that ended abruptly, an opportunity that disappeared just as you were about to step in. And later, when you looked back, you saw what you were spared from. The disappointment had been a shield. A young woman named Leora once dreamed of traveling abroad for her career. Every door she tried to open slammed shut. Rejections piled up, one after another. She cried out in frustration. Why? God? 2 years later, she learned that the company she once chased had collapsed in scandal. The closed door was her rescue. That's what's happening in your life. Chosen one, you think you're being delayed, but you're being redirected into purpose. Heaven's GPS never malfunctions. The path you planned isn't being denied, it's being optimized. Think of a sculptor chiseling stone. With each strike, pieces fall away, and the sculpture begins to appear. You are that stone. The removal is uncomfortable, but it's revealing something glorious beneath the surface. Sometimes God blocks what you want to preserve, what you need. The no you heard yesterday may be the reason you survive tomorrow. The voice of wisdom speaks in Proverbs, chapter 19, verse 21. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. And you had plans, but heaven had purpose, and purpose always wins. This is where trust becomes worship. Trusting God when everything feels secure is easy. Trusting Him when doors close without warning, that's where faith graduates from theory to reality. The hallway between closed doors is the proving ground of divine maturity. You might feel forgotten, but the path you're walking is perfectly timed. Heaven never wastes a step. Even detours lead to destiny when God's hand is steering the journey. Picture a garden during winter. To the untrained eye, it looks barren, lifeless. But beneath the soil, roots are strengthening. Spring isn't delayed, it's developing. The door that's shut today is the soil where tomorrow's bloom will emerge. When doors close, pause before you panic. Ask, what is this protecting me from? The answer may not come immediately, but peace will. God never subtracts without the intention to multiply later. Chosen one. This season of divine redirection is holy ground. You are walking a path that heaven paved in advance. One day, the closed doors will tell the story of your survival. And when you look back, you'll thank God for every no that saved you from premature success, every silence that preserved your strength. Now, if these words resonate within you, if something in your spirit whispers, "This is for me," then type 222 inches. The comments. Do it as a quiet affirmation, not superstition. The number 222 symbolizes divine alignment and peace. It's the reminder that everything is connecting perfectly, even when unseen. It represents balance, restoration, and heavenly order. When you type it, let it mean, I choose to trust the rerouting. I choose peace over panic. Every time you trust instead of complain, you cooperate with the architect of time. Every time you wait instead of force, heaven redraws your map with precision. So breathe, rest your heart. The doors that have shut behind you are not tombs, they're checkpoints. They mark the places where heaven said, not here, not yet. End quote. And when the right door opens, it will swing wide without struggle. You'll walk through, not with exhaustion, but with recognition. You'll realize this was always where you were meant to arrive. When that moment arrives, you'll see that every pause was precision, every detour, a lesson in patience. What once broke your heart will one day prove it was your deliverance. You'll smile at the memory of closed doors, realizing they weren't endings but rerouted beginnings, proof that heaven's timing never misses. And divine redirection always leads to restoration. There's a reason the pressure has felt heavier lately. The air around you has changed, hasn't it? Some days you wake up and it feels like the weight of the world is resting on your chest. You try to explain it, but words fail. You're not imagining it. You're carrying something holy, something that requires strength you haven't needed before. You are walking beneath the weight of a mantle. It's not punishment, it's preparation. When God entrusts you with greater purpose, He must first build the shoulders to hold it. This is why your days have stretched longer. Your challenge is deeper. Your nights more restless. The pressure is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of calling. Think of gold placed in fire. It doesn't burn away, it becomes refined. The flames don't destroy the gold, they destroy what doesn't belong to it. In the same way, the heat you feel isn't meant to break you. It's burning away what can't survive at your next level. There was a man named Adin who once said, "I asked God for power, and he gave me weakness until I learned strength. I asked for ease, and he gave me burden until I learned endurance." Adin discovered what you're discovering now, that the weight is not against you. It's working for you. Every chosen one must pass through the stage where heaven tests their endurance. God doesn't test to see you fail. He tests to reveal what He's placed inside you. The mantle you're carrying demands resilience, discipline, and faith that doesn't fluctuate with feelings. There's an old story of a shepherd training a young ox for heavy labor. Instead of starting with the lightest load, he attaches it to a seasoned ox that carries most of the weight. Over time, the younger ox grows stronger, its muscles learning to bear the yoke. That's what God is doing with you. He's training your strength beneath His own. You are yoked to grace. The Word of God declares in James chapter 1, verses 2 to 4, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." End of dot. Those verses don't glorify pain, they glorify growth. You're learning how to carry glory without collapsing. Every tear, every moment you thought you'd break, was heaven's gymnasium, strengthening your spiritual core. Pressure has a strange way of introducing you to your real self. When everything is stripped away, comfort, certainty, control, what remains is unshakable. That's what God is after. He's not trying to destroy your confidence, He's redefining it. He wants you to rely on strength that comes from within Him, not from circumstances. Think of an archer drawing back his bow. The tension feels unbearable. But the further the string is pulled, the farther the arrow will fly. You are that arrow, pulled back by divine tension. The release will be worth every ounce of strain. You may be tired, but you're not broken. You may be stretched, but you're not crushed. The weight you carry now is shaping you for rooms you haven't entered yet, conversations you haven't had yet, and responsibilities you can't yet imagine. Every great calling begins with invisible preparation. Before David wore the crown, he carried sheep. Before Esther wore royal garments, she bore silence and waiting. Before you stand before others, God will ensure you can stand alone. The mantle doesn't just give authority, it demands accountability. To carry power without humility is to risk collapse. That's why your current season feels like contradiction. You're being strengthened and softened at the same time, steel and tenderness forming together. Sometimes you ask, why me? But maybe the real question is, why not me? God knew you could carry it. That's why He chose you. He never places a mantle on unprepared shoulders. If He trusted you with weight, it means He already measured your capacity. Chosen one. Take heart. The pressure is not punishment, it's prophecy. It's heaven's way of saying, I'm preparing you for more. The crushing produces the oil, the stretching releases the strength. And when this refining is complete, you'll look back on these days not with resentment, but with reverence. You'll see how the weight built your wings, You'll realize that the burden that once bowed your head was the same one that lifted your spirit. You were never meant to crumble beneath the pressure. You were meant to rise because of it. The mantle may feel heavy now, but it's only because you're growing into it. There comes a moment when everything you've endured begins to make sense, not all at once, but in flashes of recognition. The confusion that once clouded your mind starts to clear, and you begin to see how every detour, delay, and disappointment was shaping you for revelation. Heaven never wastes a lesson. Every pain carried a message. Every silence hid an instruction. You are entering the moment of recognition, the unveiling of what was always there. It doesn't arrive with fanfare or applause. It begins as awareness. Suddenly, you notice your perception changing. The things that used to shake you no longer hold power. The words that once wounded you now pass through like wind. That's growth. That's awakening. Recognition isn't about discovering something new. It's about finally seeing what has been growing in you all along. The caterpillar doesn't become a new creature when it emerges from the cocoon. It reveals what was always hidden inside. The same applies to you. This moment is your unveiling. For years, you've carried pieces of revelation, dreams that didn't make sense, instincts that felt too wild to trust, ideas that seemed too big for where you were. But now those scattered fragments begin to form a picture. You are starting to recognize your pattern, your power, your purpose. It's like standing in front of a mosaic. Up close, all you saw were broken tiles, fragments of pain, memories, and unanswered prayers. But now, stepping back, you see the image they form. The broken pieces didn't ruin the art, they completed it. There's a story about a man named Gnome who spent years struggling to find meaning in his failures. Every time he thought he was close to success, something fell apart. But one evening, while journaling his regrets, he realized that every collapse had pushed him towards something better. He wrote, "I didn't lose anything. I was being redirected toward clarity." That night, he saw his life not as chaos, but as choreography. That's where you stand now, between understanding and unfolding. You may not have all the answers yet, but you have awareness, and awareness is sacred. It is the moment your spirit catches up to what heaven has been doing all along. The Word of God reveals, in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 12, "For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known." Nay, until now, you've seen your life in fragments, a reflection, dim and distorted. But as the seasons turn, heaven begins to tilt the mirror, letting you see more clearly. You are coming face to face with your own becoming. Recognition changes everything. It gives meaning to the wounds, dignity to the waiting, and purpose to the pain. You stop asking, "Why me?" and begin to whisper, so that others may see. The very scars that embarrassed you become the evidence that you survived. It's like the dawn after a long storm. The light doesn't arrive in a rush. It creeps gently across the horizon, bit by bit. Shapes emerge, color returns, and suddenly, everything that was hidden becomes visible. That's revelation, slow, steady, unstoppable. You may feel a strange peace in this new clarity. The battles haven't all ended, but your perspective has matured. You no longer need validation. You understand value. You no longer chase signs. You recognize presence. What once felt like waiting now feels like alignment. This recognition will not make you proud. It will make you humble. Because once you see how perfectly God orchestrated every detail, bride evaporates, gratitude takes its place. You realize that the story was never about your strength, it was about His faithfulness. Chosen one, you are seeing with new eyes now. The veil is lifting. The noise is fading. The fragments are forming something beautiful. What you sense stirring in you isn't confusion anymore, it's confirmation. Walk gently in this awareness. Guard it. Let revelation mature before you speak it. What is being unveiled now is holy. It's not meant for every audience. Not yet. Treasure it like Mary did, who kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. This is your turning point. The moment you recognize that what you carried was never ordinary. Heaven is no longer just moving around you, it's moving through you. When the unveiling is complete, you won't need to announce it. Your peace will speak for itself. Those who once doubted you will see the glow in your eyes and know something divine has awakened. You've noticed how the closer you move toward light, the more resistance you face. It's not coincidence. The moment you begin to walk in purpose, familiar things begin to turn unfamiliar. People you once trusted may grow distant. Conversations that once flowed easily now feel strained. It hurts. But this is part of the refining. The truth is, elevation always exposes opposition. When your spirit rises, the atmosphere shifts, and everything not aligned with your new level starts to fall away. Don't mistake it for betrayal. It's spiritual sorting. God allows friction, so your discernment sharpens, so you can recognize what is meant to continue with you and what must remain behind. Sometimes those who once celebrated you will misunderstand you. They won't see humility in your silence. They'll call it pride. They won't see focus in your distance. They'll call it coldness. Don't defend yourself. Light doesn't argue with shadows, it simply shines until darkness fades. There was a woman named Ilara who walked through a season just like this. One by one, her closest friends grew quiet. She thought she'd done something wrong. But later, she realized that God had removed voices that could no longer speak into her future. The loneliness she felt was actually pruning. God was making room for better alignment. You've been feeling that pruning. 2. It's not cruelty, it's cultivation. The vine doesn't cry when the gardener cuts its branches. It knows pruning means fruit is coming. Likewise, heaven is trimming away what blocks your growth. This is the cost of transformation. When God elevates you, not everyone can breathe at your altitude. Some people can't handle the thinner air of truth and obedience. That's why you've been misunderstood. Lately you're ascending. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Hosea. Chapter 2, verse 14. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. The wilderness isn't punishment, it's a private conversation. God draws you away from noise so He can speak softly to your heart. The ones who walk away are making space for that encounter. Chosen one, let go without bitterness. Forgive quietly. You don't need to announce who left or why. The pruning is proof of preparation. Those who cannot celebrate your obedience are not qualified to witness your unveiling. Think of the moon. It doesn't fight when clouds hide it. It waits. because it knows that no shadow lasts forever. And when the clouds pass, its light appears even brighter against the darkness. That's what this season is doing for you. Even those who oppose you are serving a purpose. They are revealing what no longer belongs in your circle. Painful, yes, but necessary, absolutely. What God removes in protection, you must not resurrect in emotion. It's okay to grieve what's gone. It's okay to miss who you were. But remember, transformation always demands exchange. You can't carry yesterday's company into tomorrow's calling. You've learned that sometimes loyalty to the wrong people can delay your destiny. So now, God is freeing you, teaching you to walk without applause, to obey without validation. That's maturity. That's spiritual adulthood. The weight of misunderstanding you feel isn't punishment. It's the sign that you're walking the narrow road. The wider one has many companions, but it rarely leads to purpose. And when this chapter ends, those who misread your silence will witness your fruit. Time will explain what words could not. Now, if this speaks to where you are, if your spirit feels that bittersweet mix of loss and peace, then type, "I rise anyway." Oh, do it not as rebellion, but as surrender. The phrase means, I rise even when misunderstood, even when isolated, even when it hurts. It's a quiet anthem of resilience. When you type it, let it echo inside you. They may not understand me, but heaven does. They may leave, but I still ascend. Because the truth is, elevation requires isolation, and isolation reveals identity. When everything unnecessary falls away, only purpose remains. So don't resent the distance. Bless it. The space between you and the familiar is where new glory grows. You are not being abandoned, you are being advanced. The pain of separation often feels unbearable, but it is proof of transformation. Like a seed breaking open in the soil, your discomfort is announcing new life within you. The people and places that fade aren't mistakes, they are milestones. Each departure marks a chapter completed, a signal that you're ready for higher ground. This is divine promotion disguised as loss. And one day soon, when the dust settles and you look back, you'll understand why the pruning had to happen. You'll see that every subtraction was sacred strategy, God's way of making sure your story carried only what was meant to grow. There is a moment when the veil lifts completely, and what once confused you begins to align with divine clarity. It's as if all the threads of your life, joy, pain, failure, and faith are being woven together into one tapestry. You finally see the pattern heaven has been working on behind the scenes. This is your unveiling. God is not just revealing your purpose, He's revealing you. Every lesson, every battle, every quiet surrender has shaped you into a vessel of light. And now, heaven begins to place you where your presence will carry weight, where your voice will bring healing, where your obedience will ripple into generations. Chosen one. This unveiling is gentle but unstoppable. It feels like the breaking of dawn after a long night. The world doesn't hear trumpets when it happens, but heaven does. The angels take note when a soul finally steps into divine recognition. You are not being elevated for attention. You are being positioned for impact. There's an image I want you to hold, a lantern being lit at dusk. It doesn't shout or explode. It simply glows. And as the world around it darkens, its quiet flame becomes impossible to ignore. That's you. Now, your light is not loud, but it is unmistakable. In the book of Romans, it is written, "The sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us." This verse is not about escaping pain, it's about transforming it. The weight you've carried, the tears you've sown, the moments you nearly gave up, they've all been fuel for the fire that now burns within you. Every hidden scar has become oil for your lamp. Now, as your light begins to reach others, understand this truth. When you pour into the world, heaven refills you. When you give encouragement, you receive clarity. When you lift someone else's spirit, your own strength multiplies. The giving heart is the vessel heaven trusts most. That's why I ask you, not as a demand, but as an invitation to participate in this unfolding light. When you like this message, imagine it as adding a drop of oil to a lamp already burning bright, helping it glow longer for others still searching in the dark. When you share it, picture a ripple moving through still waters, each circle touching another soul that may be moments away from hope. And when you subscribe, think of it as joining a caravan of lantern bearers, walking together across the desert night, each step guided by shared faith and fire. Finally, if you ever feel moved to donate, do it as a gardener does when planting seeds, never in haste, never by pressure, but with belief that something beautiful will bloom from your giving. What leaves your hand doesn't vanish. It multiplies in unseen soil, becoming light, healing, and sustenance for others who might be standing where you once stood. Your generosity, whether it's a kind word, a prayer, or a simple act of support, is sacred currency in the kingdom. You are helping to build a circle of light that continues long after this moment ends. You see, this isn't about obligation. It's about participation. It's about saying, I believe in what heaven is doing here, and I want to be part of it. Because when you give with joy, you don't just fund words, you fuel transformation. And if giving isn't possible right now, don't let guilt steal your peace, your listening heart, your silent agreement, your prayers. All of it matters. Light multiplies in many forms. This moment, this connection between us, is not random. It's sacred alignment. The same spirit that guided you here is the one preparing to expand you beyond this season. So let this be a reminder. Your unveiling is not a spotlight, it's a sunrise. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more light. And you were born to shine, quietly but consistently. Keep walking, keep glowing, keep trusting. The world may not understand the oil that fuels your fire, but heaven does. And every act of love, every click, every seed, every share becomes another flame added to the field of light God is raising across the earth. The unveiling has begun. The light is spreading. And it all starts with one willing heart, yours. So, wherever this finds you, whether in silence, in struggle, or in steady peace, remember, light doesn't ask permission to shine. It simply obeys its nature. So do you. Keep your flame alive. Chosen one, each act of faith, each whisper of hope, becomes a signal in the night sky, proof that heaven's fire is still burning through you. Before new things can begin, old things must end. That's the truth no one likes to face. The breaking always comes before the building. The ground must be torn apart before a seed can take root. And though this process feels cruel while it's happening, it is the only way to birth something lasting. You've been walking through a season of breaking. Things you depended on have fallen apart. Dreams you thought were certain have dissolved like sand through your fingers. You've stood in the ruins, asking why God allowed the storm. But the breaking wasn't destruction, it was construction in disguise. God never rebuilds on unstable foundations. He will not place a new promise on cracked ground. So, when He begins to shake the structures of your life, it's not to punish, it's to prepare space for stability. Imagine an old tree being pruned. The gardener doesn't weep when branches fall. He smiles, because he knows that cutting back is the only way to make room for stronger growth. In the same way, heaven has been trimming your life, removing everything that cannot sustain your next chapter. There's a story about a potter who worked in silence. He made a beautiful jar, only to break it intentionally once it dried. When someone asked why, he said, "I wanted to test the clay to see if it was fully hardened. Only what has been broken and remade can truly endure." That's the mystery of divine breaking. It reveals what's genuine. The moments that shattered you have exposed your strength, not your weakness. They've revealed where your faith was anchored. Every heartbreak became proof that you could still rise. Chosen one. What fell apart wasn't meant to survive the weight of your future. The friendships that ended, the plans that failed, even the disappointments you carry, they were all part of the dismantling. Heaven had to clear what was temporary to establish what's eternal. It's hard to understand when you're in the middle of it. The rubble looks messy. The silence feels endless. And the losses seem unfair. But later, when the dust settles, you'll see that God was building something far greater than what you lost. It is written in the book of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 9, "The glory of this latter house shall be greater than the former, says the Lord of hosts, and in this place I will give peace." Those words weren't poetic comfort, they were prophecy. God was promising that what would come after the destruction of the old temple would surpass everything that came before it. That's the same promise over your life. You see, breaking and building aren't two separate seasons. They are the same movement viewed from different angles. The cracks you see are not endings, they're entry points for glory. The breaking exposes the space where God intends to pour Himself in. So don't despise your fragments. They're not evidence of failure, they're the blueprint of renewal. The pieces that fell apart are the very ones God will use to build the next structure. What feels like chaos is actually design. Think of stained glass. It only becomes art after it's shattered and rearranged. Each broken piece refracts light in a way that whole glass never could. Your story is the same. The cracks make it radiant. And while you may still ache from the losses, trust this truth. The rebuilding has already begun. You just haven't recognized it yet. Restoration rarely arrives in trumpets. It starts quietly, like dawn slipping through broken windows. Soon, you'll realize that the walls you thought had fallen were actually being reshaped. The ground beneath your feet wasn't collapsing, it was settling, preparing to carry more weight. What God is building now won't look like what was destroyed. It will be stronger, wiser, and richer in peace. The same hands that allowed the storm are the ones laying your foundation again. One day, you will look at the places that once caused pain and whisper, "Thank you," not because the suffering was easy, but because it led you here to a structure that cannot be shaken. So don't rush the rebuilding. The architect of eternity is still at work. The design is sacred, the timing precise, the materials refined. The breaking was necessary. The rebuilding is holy. The final form will be beautiful beyond what you can imagine. And when it's complete, you'll see why nothing could have stayed the same. Every fracture will gleam like gold filled with grace. What once felt like loss will reveal itself as transformation, the masterpiece born from brokenness. Signed by the steady hands of God Himself. There are moments when the air around you feels charged, when everything ordinary suddenly carries a strange, sacred weight. You begin noticing small signs, familiar numbers, recurring dreams, random words that echo your prayers. These are not coincidences. They are coordinates. Heaven is aligning things in both realms, spirit and earth, to bring your next step into view. This is the season of divine alignment. Nothing is random anymore. Conversations, delays, encounters, each one is part of a larger choreography that only God could compose. It's not luck, it's leading. You've started to sense it, haven't you? The timing of events, the way everything seems to click or pause at just the right moment. It's as if invisible hands are setting the rhythm while you're learning to dance to heaven's tempo. That's not imagination, that's coordination from above. In the natural, you're still waiting. In the spiritual, everything is already in motion. What feels like stillness on your side is movement on God's, like gears turning beneath a clock's face. Divine timing is arranging the unseen so that when the moment strikes, everything will align in perfect harmony. There's a story about a man named Caleb. He had been praying for direction for years, unsure where to go, unsure what to pursue. Then, slowly, small alignments began. A phone call that reopened an old connection, a dream that pointed to a forgotten passion, a sudden peace that came after months of confusion. Nothing seemed dramatic at first, but when he looked back, every step formed a perfect pattern. Heaven had been aligning his path while he was learning to trust the pace. That's what's happening for you now. You've stepped into a spiritual synchronization, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. God is tuning your life like a skilled musician, tunes an instrument, tightening, loosening, adjusting, until the sound is just right. Sometimes, divine timing feels uncomfortable because heaven's pace rarely matches our impatience. We want acceleration. But God désire précision. He won't let you walk through a door until the people, resources, and spiritual atmosphere on the other side are ready to receive you. Alignment isn't just about your readiness, it's about universal readiness. It is written in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. That means your timing is sacred. Even when it feels late, God doesn't measure minutes, He measures maturity. What looks like delay is simply development. You're not behind schedule, you're on holy time. Chosen one. This season may feel like a long inhale before a great release. The pauses are not punishment, they're preparation. Heaven is aligning not just your circumstances, but your inner world, your faith, your peace, your discernment. Because when breakthrough arrives, you'll need stability to sustain it. Signs will keep appearing, the right words at the right time. The familiar number pattern that calms your spirit. a conversation that seems perfectly timed. Don't dismiss them. These are divine breadcrumbs, reminding you that heaven's clock hasn't stopped ticking. Now, if you felt this alignment stirring, if you sense that invisible gears are finally beginning to click into place, then type 777 inches. The comments, do it not as superstition, but as declaration. The number 777 symbolizes completion, divine order, and spiritual perfection. It means heaven's rhythm is overtaking earthly chaos. It's a prophetic gesture, a simple act of agreement with the unseen synchronization already unfolding in your life. When you type it, you're saying, I trust the timing. I trust the order. I choose alignment over anxiety. Because alignement requiert surrender, it means trusting that even what feels delayed is dancing to a beat you can't yet hear. It means believing that heaven's pace, though slower than yours, is safer, surer, and infinitely wiser. When the appointed moment arrives, you'll see how everything connects. Every closed door, every waiting season, every sudden turn, they were all puzzle pieces preparing to fit together in one breathtaking picture. The alignment is already happening. Heaven's hands are steady. The rhythm is perfect. You just have to stay still long enough to feel it move. Alignment doesn't mean life will be effortless. It means your effort will finally meet purpose. The pieces that once clashed will begin to fit, revealing the beauty of divine precision. So stay patient. Trust that each pause, each unexpected turn, is heaven's careful hand fine-tuning your destiny. What feels delayed is actually on perfect schedule, written in eternal rhythm. When heaven begins to move on your behalf, the atmosphere of the unseen starts to tremble. The enemy senses it first. He feels the vibration of your rising, the echo of your obedience, the approach of your unveiling. That's why the resistance intensifies right before breakthrough. You're not under random attack. You're standing at the threshold of transformation. The closer you get to fulfillment, the louder the distractions become. The darkness tries to convince you that nothing is changing, that you've waited for nothing, that your prayers have fallen flat. But the enemy's panic is proof that heaven's plan is progressing. Hell only trembles when heaven advances. You may not see the battle, but you feel it, the mental fatigue, the sudden doubt, the urge to quit. These are not coincidences. They are counterattacks. When light increases, shadows stretch. But remember, shadows only exist because light is present. The darkness you're sensing is confirmation that your illumination is near. There was a man named Silas who once said, "Every time I was closest to giving up, something unseen pushed me to hold on." That something wasn't luck. It was heaven's reinforcement. When you are chosen, you never fight alone. The spiritual realm shifts to defend what carries divine purpose. You've probably felt this pressure lately. Plans that should have been simple suddenly meet resistance. Peace that once came easily now feels hard to grasp. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're being refined in warfare. You're learning how to stand in spiritual authority without losing inner calm. It's like standing in the eye of a storm. The winds rage around you. But in the center, there's stillness. That's where God trains his chosen ones to be calm, where others panic. To hear clearly, where others hear chaos. The eye of the storm is holy ground. The scriptures remind us in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7, "The Lord is good. a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows those who trust in him. Emrys, that means he doesn't just protect you from the storm, he recognizes you in it. The enemy sees your weakness, but God sees your endurance. Heaven's attention rests not on how many times you've stumbled, but on how many times you've risen. Spiritual warfare often feels like silence. You pray and hear nothing. You fast and see no change. You worship and feel dry. But those moments aren't absence, they're instruction. Heaven is teaching you to trust without tangible evidence. You're being equipped for command, not comfort. Imagine a soldier being trained at night. The darkness around him isn't punishment, it's preparation. He learns to navigate by instinct, by the sound of his commander's voice. That's exactly what's happening with you. God is training your spirit to recognize his tone in the middle of the noise. The attacks that once terrified you no longer hold the same weight because you've matured in discernment. You now understand that not every delay is demonic. Not every obstacle is oppression. Some resistance simply reveals readiness. The stronger your calling, the sharper your preparation must be. You're learning to fight differently, not with panic, but with praise, not with fear, but with faith. The greatest warriors in the kingdom are often the quietest, because they've learned that the real battle is within. Once you master peace, the enemy loses his greatest weapon, chosen one. The enemy cannot stop what heaven has decreed. He can only distract, delay, and discourage, but he cannot destroy. Every attempt to break you is destined to build you. What was meant for harm becomes fuel for glory. You are stepping into a season where your warfare will shift into wisdom. The same battles that once drained you will soon train you. The attacks that once felt personal will reveal themselves as proof of your importance. You'll begin to see that every storm was permissioned, not accidental, crafted to strengthen your authority in the unseen realm. When all is said and done, you won't just survive this, you'll stand over it. You'll look back at the turbulence and see how it carved endurance into your bones, how it taught your spirit to remain unshaken while the winds howled. There will come a day when you will speak peace into storms, not because you studied it, but because you've lived it. And those who hear your voice will recognize that it carries the weight of someone who has warred in silence and still chosen light. So, stand your ground. Rest in the fortress of his goodness. Let the storms rage if they must. Your stillness will outlast them. For the battle that surrounds you now is only the sound of the enemy realizing he has already lost. There are seasons when heaven confirms what it once only whispered. Signs appear not to prove your faith, but to strengthen it. After the warfare, after the silence, after the breaking, confirmation begins to unfold, like morning light spilling across a dark horizon. This is the season when everything God promised starts echoing back to you through the world around you. It happens subtly at first. A verse you've read 100 times suddenly burns with new meaning. A stranger's words feel like an answer to an unspoken prayer. A door that was closed for years opens with ease. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Divine echoes reminding you that heaven has not forgotten its word. You've walked through too much refining to mistake this for luck. You recognize the rhythm now. The peace that settles in your chest isn't random, it's revelation. God is confirming his promises not because you doubted, but because he delights in showing you that your endurance wasn't wasted. There was a man named Joran who endured a long season of waiting. Everything he prayed for seemed silent. Until one ordinary morning, He overheard a child speaking words that matched the prayer he'd whispered months before. It wasn't the miracle itself. It was the message before the miracle. I hear you. That's how heaven works. Confirmation often arrives before completion. You, too, are in that moment. The quiet signs around you are not small. They are sacred. Heaven doesn't shout. It repeats in gentle affirmations. It's the same dream recurring. The same phrase catching your ear. The same number that seems to follow you. They are reminders that the plan is still intact, that nothing was lost in translation between your prayers and God's timing. Confirmation is not about new information, it's about assurance. It steadies your spirit. It whispers, "You were right to keep believing." End quote. Think of it like the tide returning after the sea has drawn back. During the waiting, the shore looks barren, lifeless. But the return of the water proves that movement never ceased. It was simply gathering strength. That's what's happening now. What looked empty is being filled again. The scriptures testify to this in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 12. Then the Lord said to me, "You have seen well, for I am watching over my word to perform it." Amen. That single verse contains the heartbeat of divine faithfulness. God doesn't forget what He speaks. His words are living. They travel through time, through circumstances, through resistance, until they accomplish what they were sent to do. Every promise over your life is still active, still alive, still moving toward manifestation. The confirmations appearing around you are the early ripples of fulfillment. The ground is shifting beneath you, not in chaos, but in readiness. Heaven is aligning details, positioning people, preparing outcomes. You may not see the full picture yet, but the pieces are falling into place, one by one. Chosen one. This is the time to walk softly and observe closely. The smallest details hold the loudest messages. God often hides reassurance in ordinary moments, the way a sunset lingers longer. The peace that arrives without reason, the unexpected kindness of a stranger. These are not small things. They are signals that your atmosphere has changed. Sometimes confirmation comes through conflict as well. The very opposition that rises against you can confirm your progress. Hell doesn't react to inactivity. It trembles at movement. When new resistance appears, it often means you've stepped closer to destiny's door. And yet, the most powerful confirmation doesn't come from outside. It rises within. It's the sudden knowing that what once frightened you no longer does. It's the stillness in your heart when chaos surrounds you. It's realizing that your faith has matured from seeking signs to becoming one. You are no longer just a seeker of evidence. You have become evidence. Your endurance testifies. Your peace preaches. Your transformation confirms that God's hand has been real all along. This is the sacred exchange of your journey. What began as prayer has become proof. You're living in the fulfillment of promises that once felt impossible, and though the story isn't over, you can finally see that the author has been consistent from the first word. So, breathe deeply. Let gratitude settle in your chest. Heaven has not forgotten you. It has simply been waiting for the right moment to reveal that the word still stands, strong and shining. Every echo, every repetition, every moment of déjà vu, it's heaven's way of saying, I'm still here, I'm still watching, and I am not done. No, this is the moment of decision. The air feels different now, not heavy. but holy. Something inside you knows that standing still is no longer an option. Heaven has brought you to a crossroads, not to confuse you, but to confirm you. The choice before you isn't between failure and success, it's between comfort and calling. Every chosen one faces this intersection, the place where obedience asks for more than convenience. The pull of destiny and the pull of familiarity tug in opposite directions. And you stand in the middle, trembling but aware. This is sacred ground. You've been prepared for this. Every trial, every lesson, every silence has been shaping your yes. God doesn't demand perfection, He desires willingness. The moment you choose to move forward, heaven rushes to meet your step. There's a story about a young man named Ryan who spent years circling the same mountain of hesitation. He wanted to step into purpose, but fear disguised itself as wisdom, always whispering, "Wait until it's safer." One night, exhausted from indecision, he whispered a simple prayer, "I'm ready, even if I'm afraid." That was the moment everything changed. Within weeks, doors opened that had been locked for years. Heaven responds to movement, and that's what's happening right now. You are being invited into movement, not reckless motion, but holy momentum. The valley behind you has done its work. The mountain ahead is calling your name. The Word of God speaks through the book of Joshua. Chapter 1, Verse 9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. That verse isn't a command to pretend you're fearless. It's an invitation to remember who walks beside you. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move despite it. As you stand at this threshold, heaven doesn't pressure you, it woos you. The Spirit doesn't shout, it whispers. Trust me. What happens next isn't determined by how loudly you move, but by how sincerely you choose. And now, I want you to imagine something. Imagine standing at the edge of a great ocean at sunset. The sky glows gold and crimson, and the waves whisper stories of those who dared to step in. Behind you lies the shore of everything safe and familiar. Ahead lies the unknown, deep, vast, sacred. Heaven doesn't push you into the water. It simply holds out its hand and says, "Walk with me." Oh, that's what this decision feels like. It's not a demand, it's a dance. It's not force, it's invitation. If these words have stirred something deep within you, then let that stirring be your act of faith. When you like this message, imagine it as a heartbeat, a soft echo that says, "Yes, I hear you, Lord." End of O. When you share, picture it as releasing a paper lantern into the night sky, your light drifting upward, guiding someone else through their own darkness. When you subscribe, think of it as planting your roots beside a flowing river, choosing to stay connected to the stream that keeps your spirit alive and watered. If your heart ever leads you to donate, see it not as giving something away, but as releasing a dove. You may not see where it flies, but somewhere it carries hope to someone who thought theirs was gone. And when a thought or emotion rises as you read this, leave a comment, one simple word, a symbol, even a single emoji. Think of it as carving your name softly into the wood of this sacred moment, saying, "I was here. I felt this. I chose light." Oh, this is what generosity and connection look like in the kingdom. They're never demanded, only offered. They're how souls quietly say yes to heaven together. Your decision today doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be real. Whether your act of agreement is a whisper, a click, or a silent prayer, heaven records it. Because faith isn't measured in volume, it's measured in surrender. Chosen one. This moment marks the turning of a page. The next chapter begins, not when you're ready, but when you're willing. Let your yes be quiet, but true. Let it ripple through heaven like music only angels can hear. And when you look back someday, you'll see that this was the exact moment where the journey shifted, where obedience became transformation, where your heart became a living altar. The decision isn't about what you leave behind, it's about what you step into. So take the step, however small. The ground beneath you has already been blessed. Your yes is not a transaction, it's worship. And heaven has been waiting for it all along. There comes a time when the balance begins to shift, the losses start turning into lessons. And what was taken begins to return in ways you never expected. This is the season of divine reversal. It doesn't come with noise or spectacle, but it carries power. Where there was lack, abundance quietly enters. Where there was mourning, laughter softly returns. Heaven has a way of turning sorrow into strategy and ashes into architecture. For so long, it felt like everything was being stripped away. Relationships fell apart. Plans collapsed. Dreams seemed buried under dust. But now, the winds have changed direction. The same breath that once blew things out of your reach is now returning them to you, refined, multiplied, matured. You may not recognize the blessings at first, because they rarely look the same as before. Reversal doesn't mean restoration to what was, it means transformation into something greater. God never gives back in the same form, He always upgrades. Think of Job, whose story was one of unimaginable loss. Yet when the reversal came, it wasn't just compensation, it was revelation. Job didn't just get double, he gained deeper understanding, stronger faith, and an intimacy with God that only pain could produce. That's what reversal really is, the return of what was lost, carrying wisdom that could only be born in the fire. You, too, are walking into that kind of reversal. The doors that once rejected you will open again. But this time you'll walk through with confidence. The people who dismissed you will witness the fruit of your endurance. The places where you were overlooked will now call your name. Not because you chased recognition, but because heaven's timing finally caught up to your preparation. The scriptures proclaim in the book of Psalms, chapter 30, verse 11, "You have turned my mourning into dancing. You have removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy." That verse captures the essence of your current shift. The same ground that absorbed your tears is now blooming with life. Heaven does not waste pain, it recycles it into purpose. Divine reversal often begins subtly. You start to notice small victories, peace where there used to be anxiety, clarity where confusion once lived, unexpected favor in ordinary moments. These are early signs that heaven's tide has turned in your favor. There was a woman named Mara who lived years in quiet disappointment. Every door she knocked on seemed to stay closed. Then, one afternoon, a letter arrived, a job offer from a company she hadn't applied to in months. It was the same position she once lost. But now, it came with higher pay, better terms, and a sense of divine timing. She later said, I thought I was waiting on the job, but all along, the job was waiting on me. That's the rhythm of reversal. Heaven doesn't just restore what you lost. It waits until you are strong enough to receive it without losing yourself in it. The return always meets readiness. Chosen one. This is why you had to endure so long. The breaking was preparation. The waiting was alignment. The silence was strengthening. And now, the reversal is release. You are standing in the place where everything that once worked against you begins to work for you. The enemy thought the delay would destroy your hope, but it only deepened your roots. Now, what once buried you will become the soil that sustains you. Every rejection was redirection. Every loss was leverage. This reversal isn't random, it's reward. You've sown in tears. Now you'll reap in clarity. The people who left were pruning. The ones who remain are proof. What's coming next won't require striving, only receiving. You'll notice that you don't chase anymore. The very things that ran from you before now find their way to you naturally. That's the beauty of alignment, when your heart and heaven beat in rhythm. Everything meant for you begins to return without struggle. This is your full circle moment. The tears that once fell in darkness will now water your harvest. The long nights of uncertainty have carved space for an abundance you couldn't have carried earlier. And as these reversals unfold, remember, they're not rewards for perfection, but for perseverance. You didn't earn them through striving, you inherited them through endurance. You kept believing when it didn't make sense. And heaven never forgets that kind of faith. Soon, you'll stand in the very place you once mourned and realize it's been transformed. The valley of weeping will become a garden of gratitude. You'll look around and whisper, "This is what it was all for." End of 4. So walk into this season with open hands. You don't need to demand anything. What's meant for you is already on its way. The reversals are not coming to prove a point, they're coming to fulfill a promise. And now, the final movement begins, the coronation of the chosen, not the coronation of ego, but of purpose, not a crown of gold, but of glory earned through endurance. Heaven does not crown the perfect, it crowns the faithful. Those who stayed when others ran. Those who believed when everything contradicted belief. Those who whispered, "Still here," when silence pressed against their soul. These are the crowned ones. This is where hidden ones are revealed. For years, you've walked unseen, carrying light in obscurity. You've served quietly, healed privately, and trusted silently. But heaven has been watching, and when the time is right, the covering lifts not for vanity, but for visibility. The world will not see your struggle, only your radiance. But you'll know every ray of that light was paid for with surrender. Coronation is not a moment of arrival, it's a moment of acknowledgement. It's heaven saying, "You completed what I assigned. You became who I called you to be." The waiting was the refining. The suffering was the shaping. And now the crown is the confirmation. Think of David. The oil was poured over his head long before the throne was his. The anointing came early, but the crowning came later, after years of wilderness, warfare, and wounds. That delay wasn't punishment, it was perfection. The boy had to become a king in spirit before he could wear a king's robe in sight. The same has been true for you. The oil has already been recognized. Now the crown is being released. There's a stillness that comes before coronation, a calm so deep that it almost feels unreal. It's not pride, it's peace. You've fought your battles, wrestled your doubts, endured your pruning, and survived your storms. What's left now is not striving, but shining. You are not entering to prove anything. You're entering to embody what heaven already declared. The scriptures confirm this in the second letter to Timothy. Chapter 4, verse 8. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. End of. That crown isn't forged from jewels or silver, it's forged from faith. Every tear you've cried, every prayer you've prayed, every act of quiet obedience, they've all melted together to form the metal of endurance. What you carry now is eternal recognition, not earthly reward. Chosen one. The coronation doesn't always look like a ceremony. Sometimes it's a moment of realization, when peace wraps around your heart and you know deeply, finally, that the waiting was worth it. Sometimes it's walking through a door that once rejected you. Sometimes it's the sudden understanding that you no longer crave validation because you've already been seen by heaven. This is your crowning moment, the invisible becoming visible, the promise becoming tangible, the faith becoming fruit. You're not just surviving anymore, you're reigning in quiet strength. You've learned to lead from humility, to love from scars, to move with compassion born from your own pain. That's what true royalty looks like. The crown does not make you higher than others, it calls you deeper. It's not authority over people, it's responsibility for souls. To be chosen is to serve, even when celebrated, to lift others, even when elevated, to remain grounded when glory rests upon you. Your coronation is also an inheritance. Everything you lost in earlier seasons was investment. Now comes the return. The gifts within you, your voice, your vision, your resilience are being awakened and multiplied. You will speak, and hearts will heal. You will move, and chains will break, not because of status, but because of surrender. This is the fulfillment of your hidden years. Every unanswered prayer, every silent season, every trembling act of obedience, they've led to this unveiling. You are the evidence that endurance works, that faith survives, that grace restores. And when you look back, you'll realize that the crown was never the goal. It was the natural outcome of walking faithfully through every valley. Heaven never forgot your name. The oil that anointed you long ago has never dried. It has only deepened its fragrance. So, lift your head, not in pride, but in gratitude. The crown doesn't sit on the head of the perfect. It rests on the bowed heads of the surrendered. You are stepping into the place that was written for you since the beginning. And heaven rejoices as prophecy becomes presence. This is your coronation, not of status, but of spirit. The hidden has become revealed. The faithful have become radiant. The called have become crowned. And now, the story completes its circle. What began as a whisper has become a declaration. You've walked through silence, through shadow, through surrender, and still, you stand. That's not coincidence. That's calling fulfilled. The journey of the chosen one doesn't end with applause. It ends with awakening. You've remembered who you are, and that memory will never fade again. But before this moment closes, take a breath. Feel it, the stillness of peace, the pulse of purpose, the quiet rhythm of heaven echoing through your chest. You've made it through the season that tried to undo you. And now, you carry light, not just for yourself, but for others still walking through their night. So, if this message has touched something sacred inside you, when you like it, let it be your quiet amen, a gentle acknowledgement that something true just found a home in your spirit. When you share, imagine scattering seeds into unseen soil. One of them might bloom in a heart you'll never meet, reminding another soul that they're not forgotten. When you subscribe, see it as taking a seat at an ever-growing table of light, a place where faith, courage, and healing gather to speak in the same language of hope. If your heart ever leads you to donate, let it be an act of beauty, not obligation. Picture it as adding another flame to this great lantern of love, fuel for the messages that will keep guiding others home. And when your spirit stirs, leave a comment, not for me, but for heaven. A single word, a symbol, even a heart. Think of it as lighting a small candle in a cathedral built of stories. Every comment becomes a spark that tells the world, light still wins. Unclo, because this isn't the end, it's continuation. Every share, every whisper, every heartbeat of belief becomes another verse in the song of the chosen. You've walked the path, you've seen the purpose, and now you shine.